In the glorious history of Vietnam, at the end of the 18th century, the Tây Sơn Dynasty rose as a symbol of the nation's aspiration for unity, resistance against foreign invaders, and national reform. Alongside the resounding victories of the hero in plain clothes, Quang Trung, Nguyen Hue, one cannot overlook the loyal right-hand men who helped shape a brilliant era. Among them, three renowned generals, Tran Quang Dieu, Vo Van Dung, and Ngo Van So, left a profound mark on the pages of history. They were not only valiant warriors on the battlefield, but also brilliant military and political strategists who contributed step by step to the formation of the Tây Sơn power, from the early days of the uprising to its eventual decline. Each had his own distinct character. Tran Quang Dieu with his sharp strategic mind and unwavering loyalty. Vo Van Dung, known for his bravery and decisiveness during turbulent times. And Ngo Van So, the cunning, resourceful general who kept the North stable amidst the flames of war. Whether their endings were tragic or quietly faded into the shadows, the contributions and loyal spirit of these three talented generals continue to shine in the nation's historical narrative. They embody a generation of heroes who dared to rise for the country, for the people, and who lived and died with honor in the tumultuous era of Tây Sơn. Tran Quang Dieu, the most loyal and tragic general of the Tây Sơn era. Humble origins, extraordinary ambition. Tran Quang Dieu was born in 752 in Phu Li Village, Tuy Vien District, Quy Nhơn Prefecture, a sun-scorched land of central Vietnam, now part of Bình Định Province. He grew up in a poor farming family with little formal education. Yet he was gifted with a righteous heart, a sharp mind, and a resilient spirit, always carrying within him the ambition to help the people and the country. In those turbulent years, as the court decayed and the people suffered, a spirit of revolution was forged in this young man. When the three Tây Sơn brothers, Nguyen Nhac, Nguyen Hue, and Nguyen Lu, raised their banners in the Thuận Dao region, Tran Quang Dieu quickly joined the insurgents. Thanks to his talent and integrity, he was soon trusted by Nguyen Hue and became a right-hand man in the campaign to restore and reform the nation. A tactical commander and cautious politician. Unlike many generals skilled only in combat, Tran Quang Dieu stood out for his balanced abilities in both military command and political administrative governance. He had a comprehensive vision, knew when to advance or retreat, and especially excelled at winning hearts and minds. Among the high officials under Quang Trung's reign, he was renowned for his prudence, fairness, and strength without impulsiveness. Many in the court referred to him as a master of both civil and military affairs, due to his deep knowledge of military strategy and the principles of statecraft. Love and loyalty with Bui Thi Xuan. One of the most remarkable aspects of Tran Quang Dieu's life was his unwavering love for the female general Bui Thi Xuan, one of Vietnam's most outstanding heroines. The two became husband and wife, fighting side by side in countless campaigns, embodying a rare image of marital devotion during wartime. Historical records and folklore recount that throughout the revolutionary journey, whether in hardship or glory, Tran Quang Dieu and Bui Thi Xuan shared every burden, remaining loyal to the Tây Sơn cause without ever wavering in the face of temptation or danger. A pillar after Quang Trung's death. After the glorious victory over the Qing invaders in 1789, Emperor Quang Trung suddenly passed away in 1792. His death left a massive power vacuum, throwing the Tây Sơn court into chaos. At that time, Tran Quang Dieu became one of the regime's strongest pillars, playing a crucial role in mediating internal conflicts. He was assigned to guard strategic central regions, managing important strongholds like Tran Ninh, Nghệ An, and later Phu Xuan. During this period, he was not only responsible for military defense, but also looked after the welfare of the people, gaining the respect of both soldiers and civilians. A tragic turn, coup and internal division. After Quang Trung's death, power fell into the hands of corrupt officials like Bui Dak Tuyen, the maternal uncle of the young emperor Kenthin. Tuyen wielded absolute control, eliminating loyal officials and causing deep resentment within the court. Initially advocating for peace and avoiding bloodshed among comrades, Tran Quang Dieu was eventually forced to join generals Vo Van Dung and Pham Công Hung in launching a coup in 1795, executing Tuyen and his faction. Although the coup succeeded, its aftermath led to disunity among troops and further fragmentation of court factions. The Tây Sơn regime gradually decayed from within, while their enemy Nguyen in Jiading grew ever stronger. The final retreat and desperate defense. In 1801, under fierce attacks from Nguyen forces, Tran Quang Dieu was ordered to the north to reinforce defenses and support the defense of Phu Xuan. He moved troops to Nghệ An, Thanh Hoa, fortified Trần Ninh citadel, and applied the strategy of using rest to counter fatigue, emphasizing defense to buy time for reinforcements. When the situation became hopeless, he refused to surrender and risked everything to return to Phu Xuan for one last stand. Though his army was small and supplies depleted, he held his ground, hoping to turn the tide. But history did not smile upon the Tây Sơn. In 1802, Phu Xuan fell. Tran Quang Dieu and his wife Bui Thi Xuan were captured. A heroic death. According to historical accounts, when brought before Nguyen Anh, later Emperor Gelong, Tran Quang Dieu remained unyielding and refused to submit. Both he and Bui Thi Xuan were executed with severe punishments. Their son, a brave teenager, was trampled to death by elephants, yet did not utter a cry for mercy. Even the enemy troops were shaken by the scene, while future generations etched it deeply into memory. The death of Tran Quang Dieu was one of the most memorable in the transition from the Lê to Nguyen dynasties, tragic, heroic, and filled with integrity. An eternal monument in the people's heart. Though the Tây Sơn Dynasty collapsed, Tran Quang Dieu's name lives on in the hearts of the people. He is regarded as the ideal general, loyal, talented, and compassionate, willing to shed blood for justice and sacrifice for the nation. Along with Bui Thi Xuan, he became a symbol of unwavering loyalty, spousal devotion, and passionate patriotism. Numerous temples, streets, and monuments bearing his name have been established, reminding future generations never to forget that glorious era and those indomitable souls. Ngo Van So, a brave and loyal general amidst the turmoil of the Tây Sơn Dynasty. A warrior from the martial land of Voi, southern valor personified. Ngo Van So was born in Tuy Viễn District, Quy Nhơn Prefecture, a land in Bình Định Province known for producing many martial heroes. His exact birth year is unknown, but many sources suggest he was either the same age or slightly younger than Tran Quang Dieu, his fellow countryman, comrade, and lifelong battlefield companion. Coming from a humble family, he displayed from an early age his integrity, courage, and exceptional physical strength. In a time of chaos and hardship, Ngo Van So answered the call of the Tây Sơn uprising and became one of the Tây Sơn 5 tiger generals, celebrated by the people and honored by history. From peasant warrior to renowned general of Tây Sơn. When Ngo Van So joined the Tây Sơn army, he did not stand out for strategic brilliance like Tran Quang Dieu, nor for high scholarly knowledge like Ngo Thi Nhâm or Phan Huית. However, he possessed qualities the battlefield demanded: bravery, fearlessness, and unwavering loyalty. He took part in many major battles, notably the Ret Gum Soi Mut battle in 1785, where under Nguyễn Huet's command, the Tây Sơn army crushed 20,000 Siamese invaders, saving the country from foreign aggression. He also participated in the Northern Campaign from 1786 to 1788, contributing to the unification of the nation and the fall of the Cretan lords in the north. His greatest achievement, which cemented his name in history, was in the 1789 campaign against the Qing invasion. He was one of the key generals in the Tây Sơn army that marched rapidly from Phu Xuan to the north under Nguyễn Huet's command, annihilating 290,000 Qing troops in less than 10 days, a stunning victory that made even the Chinese Empire wary. Court storm, key role in the 1795 coup. After Emperor Quang Chung's death in 1792, his 10-year-old son Kenthin ascended the throne. Real power fell into the hands of the emperor's uncle, Bui Dak Thuyen, who abused his authority, eliminated loyal officials, and stirred deep resentment among the military leadership. By then a high-ranking general, Ngo Van So, though not well-versed in literature, was politically astute and decisive. Witnessing the growing corruption in the court, he boldly led the historic coup of 1795, joining forces with Tran Quang Dieu, Pham Công Hung, and Nguyễn Văn Huân. Together, they stormed the palace, captured Bui Tuin and his faction, and executed them to cleanse the court and save the regime from tyranny. Although the coup temporarily stabilized the Tây Sơn court, it also unintentionally sowed seeds of internal division. Factional distrust grew, and Vo Van Dung's loyalty was later questioned by some. The Iron General in the final battles. The final years of the Tây Sơn Dynasty were soaked in blood and despair. Nguyễn Ein's forces grew increasingly powerful, advancing from Gia Định to Phu Xuan and further north into Nghệ An and Thanh Hóa. In such dire circumstances, Vo Van Dung did not abandon the court nor surrender. He continued to lead on the battlefield, steadfast in his loyalty. He was sent to support Tran Quang Dieu in defending Trân Ninh Citadel, Nghệ An, and later retreated to hold Phu Xuan. In the final days, surrounded with dwindling supplies and exhausted troops, he and the other generals continued to fight to the end. A heroic death, radiant loyalty. In 1802, Phu Xuan fell, and the Tây Sơn Dynasty collapsed. Vo Van Dung was captured along with Tran Quang Dieu, Bui Thi Xuan, and many others. Brought before Emperor Gia Long, Nguyễn Ein, Vo Van Dung refused to kneel, beg for mercy, or defend himself. He chose to maintain his integrity and loyalty until the very end. He was executed in Hue, a tragic yet heroic end to the life of a loyal general. History records that, before his execution, he looked up at the sky and laughed loudly. A life lived for a great cause. Defeat brings no regret. Whether legendary or true, this quote has inspired generations and testified to his indomitable spirit. Legacy, a general of the people. Vo Van Dung was not a strategist like Tran Quang Dieu, nor a tactician like Ngo Van So, but he embodied the spirit of a righteous, loyal, brave, and people-loving warrior. He represented the true Tây Sơn soldier, resolute, fearless, yet full of compassion and patriotism. In Bình Định, his homeland, people have built temples and named streets in his honor, commemorating a general who devoted his life to the ideal of national unity. He stands as a shining example of the spirit. Live for justice, die without regret. Ngo Van So, the strategic, cautious, and dedicated general who secured the northern lands. A hermit on the battlefield, a quiet but wise commander. Unlike Tran Quang Dieu with his imposing battlefield presence or Vo Van Dung with his boldness at court, Ngo Van So was a completely different archetype. Calm, cautious, strategic, and always acting quietly yet effectively. Historical records about his origins are limited, but most agree that Ngo Van So was from Bắc Hà, northern Vietnam, educated and among the early supporters of the Tây Sơn during the initial phase of their uprising in the north. He was well-versed in both civil and military affairs, deeply knowledgeable in governance, and especially skilled in internal administration, a type of stabilizing general who maintained order at the rear and earned the people's trust. In the Tây Sơn court, he was one of the most trusted generals of Nguyễn Huệ, often dispatched to the north to calm the people, suppress rebellions, and manage newly annexed territories. Defending the north? With intelligence, not just swords. In 1787, after Tây Sơn forces marched into Thăng Long, overthrew the Trịnh lords and the Lê dynasty, Nguyễn Huệ stationed troops in Bắc Hà to maintain control. Ngo Van So was appointed head of the military and civil administration in the newly annexed region, working alongside generals like Phan Van Luân and Ngo Thi Nhậm. Among them, Ngo Van So held the decisive voice. He faced numerous challenges. The people of Bắc Hà had not yet accepted Tây Sơn rule. Many Confucian scholars remained loyal to the Lê dynasty, and pro-Lê or pro-Qing factions waited to rise. Meanwhile, Tây Sơn government was still in its infancy, and their forces in the north were thin and under-resourced. In this context, Ngo Van So implemented a policy of reconciliation, avoiding harsh crackdowns and instead prioritizing stability, diplomacy, and leniency. He allowed scholars to continue teaching, issued calming edicts, encouraged agriculture, and reformed administration. Thanks to these efforts, the North did not descend into chaos after the regime change, a rare feat for any dynasty following a coup. The 1788 to 1789 Qing invasion, a symbol of So's intelligence and bravery. When the exiled Lê court allied with the Qing Empire and summoned 290,000 troops to restore the kingdom, Vietnam stood on the brink of destruction. As Qing forces approached Thăng Long, Tây Sân's northern troops were too few to mount a direct defense. This was when Ngo Van So's intelligence and leadership shone brightly. Instead of holding the city and risking annihilation, Ngo Van So chose to retreat to Tam Dip, Binh Sun, awaiting reinforcements from Phu Xuan. It was a difficult decision. Such a retreat could be seen as cowardly, but he understood that preserving the army was paramount and believed Nguyen Hue would not abandon the north. Not only did he retreat in an orderly fashion, but he also executed a series of deception strategies, sending envoys to the Qing pretending to surrender to buy time, and allowing Emperor Quangcheng to prepare for the northern campaign. During this time, he quietly organized supplies, established communication posts, and reinforced defensive lines. Thanks to Ngo Van So's calm, clever planning, Tây Sơn forces in the north were not wiped out, giving Nguyen Hue's 1789 rapid campaign the foundation to succeed. When the main army marched north, Ngo Van So coordinated closely, providing intelligence, arranging logistics, and guiding the lightning assault units. The victory at Ngoc Hoi, Dong Da, became legendary, but without So's quiet cunning in the early stages, the war would likely have been far bloodier and more costly. A wise general who knew when to advance and retreat. After defeating the Qing army, Ngo Van So remained in charge of the north. Yet, he did not abuse power or seek glory. Instead, he withdrew from the spotlight, ensuring peace and stability for the northern people and giving Tây Sơn space to build long-term strength. Unlike many generals who sought fame, Ngo Van So embodied the Confucian ideal: reserved, prudent, peace-loving over warlike, and always placing national interest above personal gain. This earned him deep respect from both soldiers and civilians. However, not being aligned with the power factions in Phu Xuan after Quangcheng's death, Ngo Van So was gradually removed from the political center. Historical records do not clearly state the year of his death, only that he quietly withdrew from public life, possibly dying from illness or old age, but certainly not involved in the brutal political purges of the final Tây Sơn years. A wise and gentle general, quiet, loyal, and noble, Ngo Van So did not die on the battlefield like Tran Quang Dieu, nor did he sacrifice himself at court like Vo Van Dung. Yet he left behind an enduring image of an intelligent, compassionate, and dedicated general, one who stepped back to move forward and who gave up personal fame for the greater good. He represents a generation of Tây Sơn leaders who did not forsake their country for glory, nor lose the people's trust in pursuit of personal ambition. Thanks to men like Ngo Van So, the Tây Sơn Dynasty stood strong against mighty foes, holding power for years, despite threats both foreign and domestic. Three shining stars in a turban remembers great founders, glorious battles, or dynasties that echo through the ages. But there are also those who, quiet as the wind, steadfast as mountains, and radiant as stars, helped shape an entire era, even if their names are sometimes obscured by tragic upheaval. Tran Quang Dieu, Vo Van Dung, and Ngo Van So, three brilliant generals of the Tây Sơn period, were such stars. They came from humble villages, not born to be kings, yet lived like true men of honor in one of the most tumultuous times in history. Tran Quang Dieu was the unshakable stronghold of the peasant army, an outstanding commander, a loyal husband, and a soldier devoted to his ideals until his final breath. Vo Van Dung, the iron-willed general who lived fiercely and died without regret, was a resounding cry for those who dare to live fully in the name of justice. And Ngo Van So, with his calm and cautious demeanor, became the firm foundation of the unstable north, winning over the people's hearts with intelligence and compassion. Three men, three virtues: bravery, wisdom, loyalty, together formed part of the soul of the Tây Sơn dynasty. Though that dynasty ultimately fell in flames and betrayal, the integrity, courage, and loyalty they embodied still live on, like silent flames burning in the hearts of patriotic Vietnamese. History may change, dynasties may rise and fall, but those who lived wholeheartedly for the people, for the nation, and for justice, like Tran Quang Dieu, Vo Van Dung, and Ngo Van So, will forever remain immortal golden pages in the soul of Vietnam's history.